Greetings, everybody. Today we're going to work on a thing called Google Plus, and also within Google Plus, we're going to use an application called Google Community. To do that, you're going to need to go to your main Google setup, and then we're going to go to the tiles over here on the top right. Once you click on the tiles, we're going to go to Google Plus, and a couple things may occur here. Um, Over here on the side, on the left, you may have joined Google Plus because you've never joined Google Plus before. So if that is the case, you may want to pause the video and join Google Plus. It'll ask you for some little information like your name, birth date, and a couple of things. It's real simple. It's pretty straightforward. So you may pause and do that real quick. Now that you're back, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Communities. Now, this is the onset. You may have nothing. I have a few in here because I've been doing this a little bit. Um, and this is the place where we're going to create a community. A community is great not only for classes. As you can see, I used to build classes in here and offer my classes, which you're operating in a Google community as well, so you can kind of get the feel for it. If you took my basic course here, you've probably already seen this before. So today in this intermediate level course, we're going to work on making our own community. I really like it to teach this class. I really like it for my cross-country team, sharing information not just to my students but also to their parents. And it's a place where I can lock it down and only have people that I want in it. Hence, you guys are all belonging to my class as well. So let's show you how to create that, and let's go through the steps to do that. So the first thing, pretty simple, you're going to hit New Community. All right, and then this thing pops up, and let's fill it on in. Name your community whatever you want it to represent. So let's say I'm doing this class. Let's call it Google Intermediate. All right, and then we'll go from there. So a couple other options that you have to choose from as you're creating the initial portion of your class, which you can come back to this, but this is just a way to get it started. Right here it says public. I don't make any of my communities public. I just don't do that. I like to keep mine private because I like to keep a specific amount of people in there. If you make it public, you're going to have a ton of people join. I'm just warning you now. I have people ask that I have never even seen or heard of ask to join my private one because it has related to Google Basic Training, or in this case Google Intermediate will probably get some people too. I keep it private so I can keep those people out. I don't need people I don't know in these things. The other thing is visible on search. Allow people to search for your community and ask to join. I turn that on because sometimes when I send my invitation out, parents or people in the class struggle to get it anyway. So I turn this on so if they need to search it and find it, I can't tell you why it does or doesn't work. It just sometimes that's what happens. So I turn that on so people can search it if they need another option to find it. The last thing on here is hold posts for review. If you turn this on, it'll literally hold every post for review before it gets posted to your community. I don't tend to do that because I know the people that are in my community, and if we have an issue with one of them, I can remove them or have a conversation with them on the side. So you can decide for what that is for you. I'm going to leave that as not turned on. So we're going to hit done from there and let our community get created. And so now we have a blank community. Yay! And so the next steps you're going to do is we're going to go through the process of filling out each part of this community so it can be a live, acting, essentially website/stream that you can use with your students. All right. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about today are preferences. So we're going to come up here to this three dots. This is basically where everything is located. So if you click on your three dots, and this will give us all the options we need to manipulate and edit our community. We're going to go to preferences first, and there's three things. Manage amount of posts in home screen. You can have it as standard, more, fewer, none. I leave mine at standard. I haven't had a problem with that. It can get a little flooded if you have a bunch of posts over time. My cross-country post is really thick, but I like it that way because parents can go back and see all the previous stuff and compare the new stuff because we have results in there that they'd like to see as well. So there's another way to organize information. That's just talking about the stream and what shows up in this main portion. You can also sort by top posts or most recent. I leave it at most recent. I like that better than top posts. You can choose that for yourself. You can also pin stuff in this, so we'll talk about that in another section. The last thing is community notifications. I actually like to turn this off. I like to leave community notifications off. Um, Unless the class is going at this particular time, then I leave them on so I can see who's posting. But whenever the community notifications are on, that's only when I have class. Otherwise, I leave them off. All right, that's all for preferences. Next up, we're going to go back to the three dots, and we're going to look at Edit Community. And this is where a lot of your community is going to get built internally. Preferences were behind the scenes settings. Edit Community is where we're going to do most of our work here. So within Edit Community, the first thing I want you to do is enter a tagline. This is a short little description, can only be 140 characters, about what your community is. Okay, a short little tagline. After you do the short little tagline, the next thing we're going to do, you'll see these three similar pieces of information. We already filled this out when we first created our community, so we're going to breeze right by it unless you want to change any of that. And we're going to go right down to description. In the description, this is where you want like your syllabus description to go. I'm going to plug mine in here in a second, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to do so as well. So if you need a moment to go out and find your description for your class, go ahead and paste it in here. I'm going to do the same, and then we'll come back and talk about the rest. All right, I went out and got my description straight off the syllabus, just copy and pasted it right in here, all ready to go. I wrote up a little thing for my cross-country team, and then I also have a BPA group that I'm going to create as well this year, and I'll write in a little description for them as well. So up to you as far as how you want that to go. The next thing we're going to deal with is categories. In categories, this portion, you're going to start putting in what are called, I like to call side tabs or subtopics, things that you want your kids to be able to access easily, and they will show up on the left-hand side down here. So if they want to go to a specific category to find some information quickly, they can. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video here in a second and add in some categories for this particular class so you can see what that might look like. I would encourage you, actually I would like you to add at least 3 subcategories so we can utilize that information and give kids an opportunity to see what you got. If you want to put more, by all means put more, but for the class, let's do 3. I'm going to pause now, put mine in, then I'll come back. All right, welcome back. I've put all my subcategories, my side headings in. You'll notice I have forum questions, Google Community, classroom, and all the other headings that I would need to help you with this class. And you'll probably be able to work your way in and out of these as you go through the course. So you'll probably see some similarities as we go along here. These don't really probably seem very beneficial yet because they're just in a list. But as soon as we finish this, you'll really like it. The next piece is some links. So in this particular scenario, you're going to want to paste some links that are relative to whatever it is you're doing, whether that's cross-country, whether that's a class, whether that's BPA. So I'd like you to post 1 to 2 links in there, something that would benefit the group that you're trying to share with. Post those in. I'm going to go get a couple links myself, and then I'll come back with you. So let's post some links in, and we'll come right back. All right, I'm back. We have Screencast-O-Matic. I put this link in here, and then I also plugged in a course syllabus. So you can see those things kind of posted right there. Now, once you're done plugging that in, you have 2 or 3, whatever you need, you're just going to hit done, and it'll save it for you. It'll plug it in. It'll load all the stuff on the side. So that's where this stuff becomes beneficial. So you can see after you've plugged all this in, there's the About This Community information on the side tab here. And underneath the About This information, you're going to have your 2 links that you plugged in, and they'll show up in blue. The next thing you're going to be able to see, there's a up arrow, so I'm going to shrink this. And then the other part is the filter. The side tabs were the filter. So if I click down on that, you can then see all of your side tabs. And you can go to any one of those sections very quickly just by clicking the side. Okay? So we don't have anything in the side tabs right now, so that's one of the things we're going to work on in the very near future. But we have a couple more things to do with the dots. So let's go back to the dots real quick. All right, we're ready to go back to the dots. We're going to go to the next piece of information. This is where you can manage members. So we're going to click on Manage Members. We don't have any members, but I'm going to show you a couple tools anyway. If you click on this, these 3 dots right here, you can see people's activities. You can step down from moderator. If there's other people that you can click on, we'll look at those in a second. I'm going to go show you another community of mine. All right, but these are some options for yourself. Okay. All right, welcome back. I went out and grabbed another one of my communities so you could see what other members might look like if you clicked on them. So you can see me here as the owner. And then, for example, my assistant coach, Kevin Hackerott, if I go to his, you can see that I can do a few other things to him. I can ban him from the community, I can remove him from the community, or I can promote him from member to moderator, which I'm going to do today because I've never done that before. Um, in the past, I've just kind of let him be just a member and he could post that way, which is fine. He doesn't really need to be able to do much more than that and probably doesn't want to do more than that. But this is an option that you can select. So I'm going to promote him. And then you notice the other thing, I can see Kevin Hackerott's activity. And so if I want to look at individuals and what they're posting or putting into my community, or your community in your case, you can click view and look, he hasn't done much. So, okay, we'll go back. I don't know that that surprises me a whole lot for this season. We're just four races in, and he's usually on water patrol. Let's go back. Let's go look at the managed members again. I do want you to see, let me get one of my Mr. Pruitt is one of my really involved parents. You can see his activity. So he's been really, I'm just looking at Mr. Pruitt's stuff, posting in stuff about his son running. And this is not just this year. His activity has gone for 3 seasons now. So it's pretty cool to see the activity of your parents if you're in a situation where you have parents involved, to see how they're participating as well. So just a view for you to look at there. That's all there is to do with managed members. There's not much else in there. Again, just to show you that. Ban, remove, promote, and then you can view their activity. All right, we'll go to the next button in our community. All right, the next item on the 3-dot list is share in a new post. Basically, you can bring up a dialog box and you can share something back to the community. There's another way to do this, a much more convenient way to do this, and I'll show you that here in a second. Within this particular scenario, you can click on a couple more dots and you can disable comments or disable reshares. I've never had to use this, and I'm not going to ask you to use it today. So it is what it says it is, but I'm not going to mess with it today. In the what's new with you, that's simply where you would share your message and then it would post out to everybody else. But I think there's a better way. I just wanted to show you that that's why that's there. But this is just informational. You don't have to do anything with it. So we're going to hit cancel. We're going to discard. And you're going to go back up to your 3 dots. And we're going to not leave the community. I want to stay in this. And you can also delete the community. So when this whole class is over, you can completely remove it. Okay? But let's talk about putting some stuff in the community now. So we're done with the 3 dots. I hope that helps you set up the behind the scenes stuff. And let's go back to the class that I've created and let's put some stuff in it. All right, so now we're back at this main page and we've dealt with the 3 dots. We've dealt with all the other pieces of information. We're going to go to this little pin on the right hand side. All right, and this will give you a few more options. So let's click on the pin and this dialog box shows up. It's a little bit more in depth as compared to the other share this post. So within this dialog box, you can do a bunch of stuff. So we're going to talk about those 3 things. Number 1, you can type text, which I don't think I need to explain. I think you guys can do that. But the other things you can do with this, you can add photos, you can add links, you can add a poll. Maybe you want some feedback from your people. You can put a file in from the drive, which is what I do an awful lot. And then you can also add a location. So we're going to look at these 3 things, or these 5 things, sorry. And I'm going to have you add some information to your own Google community. So let's start with just a basic post. I'm going to type a post in here and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I've got. So to demonstrate putting some things into this posting area, or to share what's new with you, I've typed a little summary about who I am and what I do, and told you a little bit about my family as well. And then in addition to that, in addition to posting text, I'm also going to post some pictures to go along with it, so you can see a little bit more about my family to go along with it. So what I'd like you to do is take the opportunity, take the time to share some information about yourself in your own community, creating your own community. Treat it as though you're sharing it to your students to let them know a little bit more about you. You'll also do this same assignment for me when the class initially starts. You may have already completed it actually, but now this time you're going to gear it or switch it towards the students or the group that you're going to talk to. Okay. If you don't want to do an introductory post, you can do another post. It doesn't matter to me what kind of post you do. I just want to be able to see a post for a picture, a post for a link, basically all those 5 things that are along the bottom when you can have options to share. I'm going to show how to do a thing from the drive and how to do a location here in a second. The photos and the text are pretty self-explanatory. So to get back to this, I've put these things in here. Now I'm just going to hit post just to show you what that looks like. It's going to give you some suggestions or options, not suggestions, options to pick a category to post it into. I'm just going to post it to Google Community for now, and I'm going to show you how to move a post later. Okay, so here goes. I'll pause until it gets done. Okay, we're done. And so there you go, and it's a nice, easy little thing, and you can scroll through the pictures as you go, and everybody in your stream can see it. And it's in the subcategory of Google Community. So if I wanted to go to Google Classroom, because I don't want to look at that, there you go. All right. If I want to see all posts, I can click on all posts, and it's interesting that that doesn't show up. If I go back to Google Community, there it is. Sometimes you'll find that when you do post something and you post it to a specific spot and then it doesn't show up in all posts, it just hasn't loaded to that area yet. But more often than not, most commonly, all posts show up with all the posts in there. And you can scroll for days if you have a lot of stuff in there. Like in my cross-country community, if I go over here, all posts is what I'm in right now. You can see that it's selected over here in green, and it goes on forever with all the things we've been doing this year. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like after it's all been loaded through and it goes through. Just be patient with it sometimes. It's not always instant, but if you refresh a couple times, it'll go. I think here in Kansas, we kind of know how that works with technology. We don't have the super speediest internet that is possible. Well, maybe some of you do, but I sure don't. Not here and not at school. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to go to the next section. We're going to go back to share. You can get that same dialog box by clicking this right here. And the next thing you're going to do is add a link. That is so straightforward. Just copy and paste a link in there. Any link that you want. And maybe, not maybe, give it a purpose. Don't just post a link to post a link. What is the purpose of the link? Which category should it belong to on the side? And then take care of that from there. So I'll give you a chance to do that. I didn't put any links in because I want to go to the next thing. Add a poll. Okay, this is pretty fun, especially if you have a class where you need to pull a question. You can add photos to this to pull a question, and you can give choices. You can have more than one or more than 2 choices. You can have quite a few. So what I'm looking for there, you can just have the choices as text, or you can add photos for each one. I did a poll for my cross-country t-shirts this year to see who wanted which shirt the most, so I could narrow down which design they liked. That was pretty handy, pretty convenient. And then we also ordered jackets. I didn't do a poll for that one per se. Instead of doing a poll for that one, I posted a picture like I would have over here. I'm going to cancel this. And then I had them add a comment at the bottom. So that's another nice feature of the community, just adding a comment at the bottom of a post. Very much like a Facebook or a Twitter or whatever the case may be, where you can add a comment or reply to. That's really nice. You post that out there and you have a bunch of students add a comment. It's neat to see the responses. And they'll respond to each other. That was the fun part for me when I first started doing this, is students really enjoyed communicating back and forth underneath whatever it is they were focusing on. It gave them a direction, so that was really nice. Okay, in addition to the adding a poll, you got Google Drive, where you can add files from Drive. And it says anyone can see your posts. Okay. So I'm going to go out here, and you can see I have a ton of stuff. And just pull a file in. Let's go time management. We're working on that personal finance. We'll select that just to show you what that'll look like when it loads. So it'll load a preview picture of the file, and then you can tell kids what you want them to do with it at the top here again with your text, and then you just post it. I'm not going to post this at this time because you don't want a personal finance assignment. All right, so I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to discard that. And the last thing we're going to talk about is location. This is really specific to certain people or certain communities' needs. A lot of communities don't need a location scenario, but it really works out strong for my cross-country group. When we have a place that people haven't been before, I can add the location in just by typing in where we're going to go, and they can find that location just by clicking on the link, and it'll put it into their Google Maps on their phone, and they can go. They don't have to search it. They can just go pull it right from here. So I would encourage you to add a location for your class just to test it out. I want to see it to see that you can do it. But as far as if it doesn't have a purpose, I'm okay with that for now because I understand that not everybody needs the location option. I just want to see if you can do it. Okay, just meet that competency. So that's it for sharing the posts and all that information. I'm going to cancel out of here. I'm going to give you time. I would pause the video right now and add in each of those things. If it's a combination, that's fine. Like you would have taken care of 2 requirements here if you did the text and the photos. That's 2 things. So by all means, combine them if you want to. If you're going to end up adding a link or a file as well, that's fine. I'll find it and I'll give you credit for it. So pause the video for a moment and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to move posts and invite people to your community. Okay, so I told you I was going to show you how to move a post from one category, subcategory to another. So before I do that, I'm going to show you that I'm adding a class introduction scenario right here. And so now that I've added that category, I'm not going to hit done. I'm going to move it because I want it to be towards the front. I want it to be towards the top. So forum questions is up here. I want it to be underneath that. To do that, all you have to do is grab it and drag it up. And it looks like I'm going to have to scroll up a little bit more. And we'll grab it again and drag it up a little bit more. There we go. It's under forum questions now. And so now you have an idea of what it's like to move things around. Maybe you want them in a different order, or you've set things up by chapter if you're using this for a class. That's one way to move your subtopics around. So I'm going to hit done. And now my class introduction option is here, but my post is still in the community. And I want to move it. So I'm going to go up here to owner, and I can select where it goes. Right now it's in community. I'm going to move it to class introduction just by clicking this. And that says the post has been successfully moved. And so now if I go to class introduction, voila, it's there. Let's see if it's still in Google Community. It's still there. So one of the things that will happen over time is it'll disappear out of there. And I've seen this before. This is not a surprise to me that it's still in there. It'll actually end up moving to class introduction over time, and it'll come out of there. So just for a heads up, it'll leave eventually, and it'll go just to one spot. It's not going to stay in both spots. In fact, if we go up here and we look at owner, you'll see that it should only be in class introduction. So give it time. Again, you might have to refresh, and that'll fix that scenario. Okay? So that's the moving a post. The next thing we're going to go to is inviting your people to your community. All right, we're back to invite people to your community. Pretty easy step. I really like this. They've changed it since in the past. You can come right up here to this plus and a little person. And if you click on it, it says invite people with a link. And it's that simple. You click invite people with a link. They give you allowing invites by link, and anyone with a link can join the community. So you turn that on, and then you copy the link, and you paste it and send it off to the people you know. The easiest way to do it is just to send this to somebody through an email, and that's how they join. Now that's what I want you to do for me. I want you to copy your link and send an invite to me so I can join your community and see how you've done. All right, and I'll add some posts and whatever or some comments to your posts to give you credit for what you've done, okay? So please make sure you do this step. This is probably the most important step because this is how I'm going to see what you've done. All right, so that's it for that. The other piece of information, or there's 2 things left to do. Over here, there's a manage option. If you click on manage, it's going to give you a couple options. There's insights. It'll give you, this is just about activity in your community. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that because it's private and I know what activity is going on in my community. The member request is probably the most often thing I use because when people ask to join, when they search it out because the link for whatever reason didn't work for them, And a lot of times it doesn't work for them because they don't have a Google Plus already, or they have multiple Gmail accounts and they're conflicting with each other. So when you get people to join your community, they really need to make sure they're only logged into one account at one time. And that really only happens when people try to do it through their phones. If you do it on a computer, it's really seamless. When you do it on a phone, it gets kind of complicated. It's kind of annoying. And then if you're a part of a school district, sometimes Google Plus isn't available. Sometimes it's blocked, and you have to knock down that wall or that barrier. So just some heads up. But member requests will show up in here, and you can allow people in. A lot of times with my parents, I have to go back in and allow them to join. And I like that because then that allows me to control who's in my community. And I can ask questions if I don't know somebody. Hey, is this one of your family members? Okay. So that's kind of nice. They likely spam and hold for review. I don't see any reason to use those very often. If you have your filter on to hold posts for review, that's when you'll see those. I rarely use that. And I don't expect you to use it in here. Okay. The last thing we're going to do, we're going to go back to edit, back to our three dots in edit community, and you need to add an image to your community. Now that you have some information about it, let's go find an image and put the final piece to the puzzle here and give this community an identity by putting an image there that people will be able to recognize your community by. So if you want to see what a finished product looks like, you just go in, click the camera, and plug in your photo. I do believe there are size requirements, so you might keep that in mind as you go in there. I guess I can show you. Just click on that, and then you can look at any one of these photos. We were doing some marketing stuff the other day, so that's what these photos are for. But pick a photo that you have to choose from and plug it in. To see a finished product, I'm going to go back to my cross country. And you can see that my students made a flag for me for cross country, put a line and a Z up there. It's kind of cool. I thought they did a nice job with it. So we had some fun with that. So that's it. Once you've plugged your picture in, I know this video ran long. I tried to put it in segments so you could stop and go, stop and go. So hopefully you got a good information about the Google community. I look forward to seeing all of your communities, and until we meet again, the next topic you will be discovering will be Google Classroom. And you can use this community to get to Google Classroom's video. All right, I look forward to seeing your stuff, and we'll talk to you soon.